Hello, and welcome to the Audiences, Discourse Communities, and Rhetoric PowerPoint. In this PowerPoint, we will cover the relationship between rhetoric and audience. While not entirely synonymous, audience and discourse community will be used interchangeably in this PowerPoint and in our course. Studying rhetoric is, in essence, studying the way communication is directed towards a particular audience, also known as a discourse community, to achieve an intended purpose. You participate in rhetorical situations every day, from chats with your mom to fights with your significant other to asking your boss for time off or a teacher for an extension on an assignment. In each of those situations, you have a specific purpose and audience, two of the most important considerations in rhetoric. The purpose of a piece of communication is the reason the message was initiated. What do you hope to achieve through this message? What do you want your audience to do, to think, to feel? People communicate for a variety of reasons: to inform, convince, persuade, meditate, express themselves, and so on. Some messages are designed to sell products, some to change opinions, some to inspire action. We also have to consider our audience. Who exactly is your audience? What do you know about their knowledge, interests, characteristics, expectations? In order to fulfill your purpose, you have to be aware of the audience that will be hearing your message. Purpose and audience are intimately connected. For example, if I want to ban texting while driving, I might address several distinct audiences such as parents, teens, or police officers. How I go about convincing each of these audiences to agree with me is quite different, though. For example, if I choose to call teens who text while driving stupid or crazy, then my word choice will probably lose the teen audience. If I spend a lot of time relating the statistics of fender benders caused by texting while driving, I might not capture parents' attention, but it will probably work for police officers. Similarly, if I simply relate sad tales of teen deaths from texting while driving, I will have caught the parents, but teens may not be convinced. When I lose an audience, I lose the power to send a message to them. Not only do proper rhetorical choices help boost your argument, but incorrect choices can alienate your audience and cause your message to fail. Rhetorical awareness is, quite simply, an awareness of the language choices we make. We make rhetorical choices about methods of organization, word choice, the use of figurative and literal language, the use of emotion, tone, and so on every time we communicate. Our goal is to make those choices more intentional and to expand our arsenal of choices. To that end, we study rhetorical strategies, devices, and appeals. Rhetorical strategies are sometimes called modes of organization, and they include such modes as description, narration, exemplification, cause and effect, comparison, process analysis, classification, division, and definition. For more information on these modes, check out Norton Publishing's page on rhetorical strategies. Rhetorical devices include variances in syntax, tone, diction, and voice through the use of such devices as alliteration, allusion, hyperbole, metaphor, repetition, parallelism, and understatement. For more examples of rhetorical devices, check out 50 rhetorical devices for rational writing or just Google rhetorical devices. Also, be sure to watch the video, How Does Word Choice Affect Tone and Meaning? Rhetorical appeals are choices we make regarding the use of credibility, emotion, and logic in our messages, as well as the timeliness of our message. For more information, check out Purdue's Look at the Appeals, and also review all of the materials provided in our Canvas module. The choices we make regarding these strategies, devices, and appeals must be decided by a careful consideration of audience needs. But before we can make these choices, we have to understand the discourse community or audience we are addressing. Discourse communities are specific audiences that have similar characteristics, knowledge, interests, and expectations, and all of this must be considered prior to making any rhetorical choices. A person's gender, age, race, and religion are all characteristics that color thought processes and beliefs. Every rhetorical strategy, device, and appeal you use must be geared towards the particular discourse community. On the last slide, I mentioned age, gender, religion, and race as audience considerations. What are other factors that must be considered? Here is a brief list of discourse community characteristics that an author must think about prior to creating his or her message. Some are obvious. We all know that the age of the audience is important. You would not speak to a 5-year-old in the same way you would a 40-year-old. Similarly, though, you need to understand your audience's background knowledge about the subject of your message so you know how much explaining you will have to do. And it's certainly two different situations if you are trying to communicate to someone who is really interested in your topic and someone who couldn't care less about it. Let's look at this concept from a different perspective. Here are 6 sentences that essentially mean the same thing. Clearly, however, they are geared towards quite different audiences. For example, teamwork. Teamwork is how we succeed. Sounds appropriate for a high school sports team, while an alliance is called for in this hour of need, seems more appropriate for an online gaming community. What other discourse communities do you see addressed here? Are there other ways of constructing this sentence that would work for a different sort of audience? As you communicate in this class through speech and writing, make sure you always know your audience and make your rhetorical choices based on their characteristics and expectations. Thanks for listening.